We're back here on Hurrdat Sports Live. That's DBM Ravi Lulla here on the Pillar Exterior stage. It is time for Bet On It, brought to you by Warhorse Sportsbook, the best place in Nebraska to place your sports bets. Make sure you get to the casino in Lincoln or in Omaha and check out all they've got to offer. DB.
0-2.
Oh,
come on, Nebraska. Hey, my man looked out for me, though.
Who?
I'm a big Antonio, or I'm a big Nebraska guy.
Yeah?
Yeah, you can. It's Antonio.
What'd he do for you?
Oh, he just checks on me.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Looking out for you?
Yeah. I agree with QBAs here.
What'd he say?
About Sanders getting rid of the ball and
it's a concern for sure.
So you know what happens if Shadeur doesn't improve on timing and off script plays?
What's that?
He's going to look a lot like first year Bryce Young.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Hold it.
You get in a lot of trouble.
You get in a lot of trouble that way.
And honestly, the best thing for Shadeur, I think, is if he falls out of that top group of teams.
And there's not as much pressure.
And he ends up somewhere better.
Yeah.
Because that's part of the problem with Bryce Young is he's at a very bad franchise.
Yeah, and you know what the thing, and I'm not saying Carolina turned the corner.
No, but they were better.
But I think part of him playing better is not feeling the onus of having to save the franchise because he got benched.
Yeah. So it's kind of like, well, it already that ship is sort of sailed.
Because there's this weird thing, and it was one of the things that I loved about Zane Flores, and this is a weird analogy.
Mm-hmm.
But Zane would take chances without, and he had good. Listen, don't get it twisted. He had good receivers,
mm-hmm.
And a couple of those guys were really good. But he would take chances with anticipation
mm-hmm.
and throwing balls that other people just would not. Even and it's the one, and I use him as an example because when I look at a guy like Braylon Warren,
mm-hmm.
who has tremendous ability,
yeah,
tremendous arm talent. One of the things I want,
like him, see him take a few more chances.
Yes,
yeah, I would agree.
Like
I thought the same thing when I watched him. This year.
Not holding, hey,
trust the ability.
But it's so ingrained in him to not turn the ball over.
We saw that with Dylan this year, I think.
Right? It's exactly.
We saw it with Dylan.
To not turn the ball over.
Yeah.
That you don't shoot your shot.
Yeah.
I'm just telling you.
You missed opportunities.
The quarterbacks that are willing to do that,
mm-hmm. but
they're physically gifted,
but aren't reckless. That's the line you have to
there's a fine line
right?
between Allen and Favre.
Yeah, I mean, there's a fine line between a lot of those guys, right? Like Jameis trusts his arm, right?
Jameis also reckless.
He also threw 30 interceptions in a season.
So there's that hidden thing about quarterbacks
mm-hmm.
that I
and it's understanding when to take the shot.
Yeah.
Right? When it's that internal risk.
That's why I like Burrow.
Yeah.
Because I'm not sure if you're in a lab.
You're not
physically.
There's not a ton you're going to take.
Where you're like, yep, that's my
good arm talent.
That's my. It's not elite.
No, but good arm talent.
Yeah,
but not elite at any one physical feature.
But the sliding in the pocket, the anticipation of the throws, the accuracy, the being able to move on the run.
Mm-hmm.
He's a lot of 8.5s.
Mm-hmm. Not a lot of 10s.
His IQ is a
like
10,
12. Yeah.
Right, and that's a guy who, even though he hates talking to the media.
Mm-hmm.
Has learned to be more comfortable.
And you can tell, even though it's not his favorite thing, you can tell why people gravitate towards him in the locker room, right? Because that is a dude who is unflappable. And I think other football players are drawn to that, where they go, oh, if he's not worried, we're okay. Like if you can tell in his eyes that he's like, hey, we're going to take care of this, that I think leads other people mm-hmm. in a way that some guys just have a little bit more frantic energy. And that's not something you would ever say about Joe Burrow. I'm not sure that guy's heartbeat ever raises above about 35 beats per minute.
Yeah, so the fine line between somebody like Dylan, and I like that example because he went from not turning the ball over early,
mm-hmm.
but holding the ball too long. Like I think people he heard those whispers,
mm-hmm.
right? Hey, you have time. Get rid of the ball.
Yeah.
So as the season progressed and he played against better teams.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes he would try to make plays. And he'd turn the ball over.
Yep.
Now, you have to be willing to grow in that
mm-hmm.
and say, okay, now's a good time to shoot my shot. now's not a time. As I start to play with more consistent receivers, I feel like we'll my anticipatory set will be better too.
Yeah.
So that's part of the growth, but I think it starts with the freedom to be able to make a mistake and know you're going to be okay.
And you know what I think part of it was with Dylan too?
Watch. Bryce Young year one is a good example of what I'm talking about. Like, you just want to say, throw the ball, man.
I think part of it, what we saw with Dylan too, is there was a few times early where he did cut it loose, gave his receiver a chance, and it went the other way. Illinois comes to mind with Nair in the end zone, and it goes the other way. And he's like, okay, well, I put that ball in a pretty good spot. If my guy can't come down with that, I probably can't throw that anymore. Right. And that's not necessarily the right conclusion, but you see how he got there. Yeah. And then he overcorrects.
How many times did you see a throw where you just put it on him?
Yeah.
Just trust it.
Right.
As opposed to, I'm going to try to make this ball as perfect as possible.
Yeah. Just rip it
and reduce the margin of error. That's the thought process. It wasn't actually how it played out.
Because then it actually increases the margin for error because it's not perfect.
It's like if you're throwing to somebody and you don't think they're a good cat, they're good at catching.
You're gonna baby it a little bit. You're gonna baby
instead
it a little
of just
because if you think they got good hands, you're just gonna rip that thing.
I don't know what you call that in quarterbacks. I've just seen enough of them to know.
Yeah, there's a difference.
What I would want. Like the next step for a Braylon will be, okay, got good physical tools. You got good command of the offense. Let's trust the whole thing. If you see that evolution where you don't have to wait for a guy to come open or you won't hold it because you're unsure, the sky is the limit. And the really, really good – you know who was really good at that?
Who?
Steve Young.
Yes. Yeah. Now he's working with some pretty good receivers. You know?
That's part of it. But again, I hate that. Because a lot of guys in the NFL are pretty good.
Yeah.
You know, but Jacksonville, like if you looked at Jacksonville's skill guys the last 2 years, you think that Lawrence should have been better.
Sure.
So you can't
always.
You can't just say that.
Right. But I also think it is worth putting out there because when you've got guys that are going to go make
Bears
plays.
Have pretty good guys.
They do. But when you've got guys
get rid of the ball
that you feel like are going to make plays, it can build that confidence, right? And if you've got guys, like we said with Dylan, where you aren't super confident they're going to go make plays, then it sort of makes you retreat a little bit. So it does matter. I'm not saying like, oh, he's got Terrell Owens, Jerry Rice. Anybody could have done it, right? That's not what I mean. What I mean is if you've got guys that you feel like are going to go win those balls, you're much more willing to put it in a 50-50 situation, right? Like I bring this example up all the time. There's a reason Johnny Manziel would just toss that thing up to Mike Evans and be like, go get it, bud. Because he knew Mike Evans was coming down with that ball. Like you had the same thing a couple years ago with Florida State and Keon Coleman. Like Keon Coleman was just going to go get that ball. Like that dude was unbelievable at that. And you saw it even this year a little bit, even though physically Keon Coleman as a wide receiver, not super impressive. He ran a little slow. He's not that big. But he gave, like, you could tell Josh Allen trusts Keon Coleman when he puts that ball up there.
You know, one of the reasons I'm a not closet so much anymore, a diehard Josh Allen guy?
Why is that?
Because it's never been smooth sailing for him.
Yeah.
And he just keeps incrementally working on things that he needs to complete his game. I'm a huge.
It hasn't always looked like I wanted it to, but I've come around on him.
And you know what? He's okay with that.
Yeah. But he's gotten better too. Like he's cleaned up a lot of the things I had problems with.
I'm a huge Allen guy.
Before we get out of this, I do want to touch on Nebraska tonight. They are a
I don't remember Jerry Rice having to win a lot of 50-50 balls. No. I'm talking about
Owens did though.
Oh yeah.
Terrell Owens fought for the ball
because he was and they're two different guys,
yeah,
right?
Physically they're very different builds.
Rice was the precise route runner, and you knew if you had to throw him a little skinny or a bang aid or those slants.
And when I say a 50-50 ball, I don't always mean a jump ball, right? Yeah. Like I mean, okay, Jerry Rice is right next to a corner on a route. They're at a 50-50 position right there. Jerry Rice is going to win the route.
Yeah.
Right? It's not always about winning the ball. Sometimes it's about winning the route. And as a quarterback, knowing before the route is won that you can throw it. I do want to get to Nebraska. This is a bet on it segment. They're 1.5 point favorites. Did that move across zero? I thought Penn State was favored in this one.
Didn't
early.
they open? I think they open as the favorite.
Did they? Okay, maybe I just can't read. Nebraska's a 1.5-point favorite. My guy Ken Palm's got him as a 1-point game.
Well, you and Kenneth are boys.
Well, I like it when there's a gap of like 2 points. Then I usually will go, and that's something I'll like to make a play on.
So what does Kenneth have?
Kenneth's got it at 1, so it's right there. It's right there for Nebraska and Penn State.
Yeah, that's a money line play.
I think 100%. That's what
that's a Nebraska money line.
That's just what I was gonna say. I like Nebraska.
I doubt that's what you were gonna say.
You know I like the money line under 2 points.
I know you do.
That's my vibe. I'm going Nebraska on the money line.
I don't feel that's not like I don't love it.
What do you have any you like today?
I like Bama.
Bama?
Speaking of
bounce back?
Yes. I like Bama. I think you have to take them on the money line because you can maybe still get plus money. Where is it? Where's Bama?
Bama, they are a 1.5-point dog at Missouri today.
Yeah, I like Bama.
Bama on the money line. I got Nebraska on the money line.
And I take the points too. I'd play both. You're going to get the free 1.5, and the money. I would take both.
See if you can get some of those same game parlays going on.
Hey, make up those 2 units from yesterday, folks.
That's Bet On It, brought to you by Warhorse Sportsbook. We'll be back to wrap up the show next.